Okay.
Um, I'm William Butler. I'm the Executive Director of the Contemporary Art Center of Peoria. And I invited Jill King, who's an artist who is exhibiting with us right now through June 17th. Jill King is a Chicago-born visual artist who has been creating artworks in Chicagoland and beyond since childhood. She currently constructs her otherworldly sculptures in her studio, which is located in Evanston, Illinois. Welcome, Jill King.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So we're so delighted with your exhibit. So many people are enjoying it so much, and we were sad that you were not able to come to the reception that we had recently. So I wanted to be sure to.
Due to COVID.
Yep.
I would have been there otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
But anyway, like I said, we've had weddings in the room. So people have, shared your work in so many different ways with concerts, dances, and then just our general open house events, like our First Friday events. So many people have seen it. So many people have been exposed to your work that typically wouldn't be in a gallery otherwise. And so that's always really wonderful to see as well.
Yeah, I saw some pictures online, and it was really fun to see events around my work and the extra lighting, and it just it's a thrill to be there. And it's in the space really. I never saw my work on brick before, so it was really interesting to see the work on the brick. I think it really added a whole nother dimension to it, which I was surprised.
Great. Yeah, sometimes artists are not too keen on the brick. They're afraid that it's not going to look good with their work, but actually it's very neutral, and your work pops off really well off the wall. So, I mean, literally is coming off.
Yeah, I actually thought it looked good on the brick.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
Your work has so many components that you seamlessly bring together. There's welding and soldering. You're sewing and stretching and treating fabric, and there's a lot of reflective materials. There's collage. You're incorporating lights in some of them. I mean, such work doesn't just coalesce spontaneously. You've been doing so many years, and there's so many years of trial and error and knowledge that's packed all in those. Just wondering, how in the world did you get to this point?
That's a great question. I had been really, working since childhood as working with my hands. And I remember as a child living in the suburbs and really wanting to be like one of those kids that, it has a stream in their backyard and stepping stones. And there was a part of me that, always felt very connected to nature. And we did have a fairly nice backyard growing up. I'm one of 4 children, so we had a large family. And I remember just going off on my own in the backyard and digging in the mud and making little cities out of mud and even collecting like junk, like an old Band-Aid box. I used to make them out of tin. So those were really cool. And just putting things together that I would find and rearranging them. And I, just kept doing that. And I really felt I was an artist at a very young age. And I really never thought of doing anything else. You know how some people come into art later in life? I actually just said at 5 years old, I'm an artist, and just felt like that was my calling and just kept going.
Wow, that's cool. Some people, never really self-realized, and you did so very early.
I think I was meant to just, be a creator with my hands and my eyes. I mean, there's wonderful musicians out there, and I actually come from a family that is pretty musical. My mother was a director and choreographer for musical theater, and my brother has an orchestra. So, but it was always visual for me. I just knew. It's funny. Yeah.
So when you, did you have some formal education early on when you were in school? Did they have art classes for you, or?
Yeah, that I actually, grew up on the North Shore, and the Art Center Highland Park at that time was called the Suburban Fine Arts Center.
Hmm.
They would have classes, and I asked my mom, can I take a sculpture class?
Hmm.
When I was probably in about junior high. And there was a really wonderful teacher there named Kay Schwartz. And she was just making her own art while she was teaching, because a lot of artists do that.
Yeah.
And she was, making molds and throwing plaster onto her. I think she worked in clay at the time. And she taught me how to carve in stone. And I actually, really enjoyed working in 3 dimensions,
Hmm.
even at a young age. And I even had a teacher in high school, Harold Sylvester, who had us casting in bronze in high school.
Wow.
So, I mean, we were doing the lost wax process while,
Wow. That's
when
pretty
I was
extraordinary.
like a freshman in high school. So
Wouldn't
that
you say
was
that's,
really great.
I mean, that's pretty unusual, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, he made like a little foundry in the high school.
Wow.
And we were making little cast bronze pieces. So
Hmm.
I was fortunate that I had, a lot of access to teachers that were willing to teach us things that weren't that easy to teach at the time, and had facilities for it.
Wow. So you were quite a leg up when you actually went to college. You went to art college. It got an art degree in college, correct?
Yes. So what happened is, when it came time to go to college, I thought about painting. I really like to paint as well and draw. So my parents, who were typical suburban parents, but very loving, said, no, you got to go do something more practical, of course. And they suggested maybe graphic design. Okay. So I started out at Northern Illinois University as a graphic design major, and I was taking sculpture classes on the side, and I got really close to a lot of the sculpture students. And my teacher, who was Bruce White, who is a wonderful
Hmm.
sculptor, and I even seen his work in Peoria.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous piece. As you drive to the art center, I passed one of his pieces. But he was such a wonderful teacher, so I changed my major maybe the end of sophomore year. And of course, my parents were not happy about it, but it was my choice and I kept going. So that's what happened.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, but you did go on to uh, teach art in various ways, correct? I mean, you did.
Yes, I mean, I actually went on after NIU to University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. And I also had lived there for a couple of years and got my master's degree
Okay.
in Milwaukee. I'm a total Midwest girl. I haven't left much of the Midwest, but and I went there with the idea that I would teach as well, in addition to making art, because I knew, you just can't, they don't have sculptor wanted in the classified ads. You just don't get out of school and you're become, it's rare. Okay.
Sure. So you
So
you intended to teach as a grad student. Is that what you mean?
yeah, I went to school. I went on to get my master's so that if I wanted to teach at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I actually taught at the American Academy of Art in Chicago for several years in the 90s. And then I wanted to be an artist still, which was always my number one goal. And, I ended up teaching more part-time. And I taught at various institutions like the Evanston Art Center for many years. I even had my own studio I taught in, and I had students from all walks of life coming to my studio. I just like makeshift. It's just as hard to try to figure out how to make a living on the side as well as making the art. And I did it for years. I mean, I did it for many, many years. So I just finished teaching after probably like 35 years or so of teaching in some capacity or another. And it's really amazing because I've got commissions going right now. I'm just crossed my fingers that I can keep things going. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And it's really kind of thrilling because my whole life, really, I wanted to just be a full-time artist. And I love teaching, and I've really grown through teaching, and I'm glad I did teach for so many years. But right now I'm just focusing on creating, which is really wonderful.
So many teachers have told me that they have become better artists because they taught.
Absolutely. I mean, the students share stuff with you. They sometimes they think even more outside the box than you do. And things that I didn't even think about as a teacher, you know, as an artist, they are already, you know, light years ahead. So, I mean, it's been really an amazing journey so far. I've still got a lot of years left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, all this education also informed your involvement as the chair for the education part of Chicago Sculpture International.
Yeah,
And
that was a really wonderful opportunity. I'm part of that organization. There's about 150 or more members that are all professional sculptors. Most of the sculptors I've met through CSI do big outdoor works with cranes and everything. And you know, they helped me grow because I could see artists that take, you know, challenges and aren't afraid to just work in huge scale. And, you know, there's artists of all walks in that particular organization. And so with the education, I actually spearheaded a lecture called Women Sculptors of Chicago, Not for Men Only. And we got a grant to speak at the Cultural Center in Chicago. And that was really wonderful because it was all women, and it's typically sculpture is a very male dominated field. So it was really fun and exciting to see women sculptors who are, you know, really taking giant leaps, like working in steel and glass and big scale. And it was really a great experience.
awesome.
Yeah.
So how long were you, or are you still a part of the organization, and how long?
I'm still a member. You know, I was the education chair for about 3 years, which is my run time.
Right.
And I moved on, and I'm still part of the organization, and, you know, still helping out at times. And, you know, it's been a great, that's how I actually got introduced to you, because CSI had a show. I didn't end up showing because I had too much going on at the time. But I mean, we show a lot all over the state and sometimes in different arenas, you know, and that's how I found you guys and you found me.
Well, I know of one that was at Lincoln Park Conservatory.
Yeah, and that was really interesting. And I was in that one because what's interesting is we had several shows in the Lincoln Park Conservatory and the Garfield Park Conservatory. And it's just wonderful to see your work intermingling with nature.
Well, I think yours would be just perfect in that setting.
I really loved it, seeing it in that. And it also inspired me to do some suspended sculpture, which I wasn't doing at the time.
Oh.
But having the opportunity, and they wanted something, it was called Form and Flora. So I created forms that I felt, you know, looked good in flora. And it was really inspirational and really kind of guided me to where I'm at today.
I see. Because yeah, some of the titles allude to botanical aspects.
Absolutely. I mean, my work is very organic. I look at botanicals, but mostly I look at the cosmos. I look at nebula and galaxies and the light forms, colorful light forms in the cosmos. And it was really inspiring to look at Hubble Space Telescope images. So a lot of people in the very beginning thought my work was flowers, but I don't think so much of my work as flowers. I think of them as forces of nature. unfolding, blossoming energy. And so they're not literal flowers, even if they look flowering, should I say. But to me, they're, I work in wire and I work in steel, and I draw with the wire and the steel. So they're very organic when I make them, and I keep adding and subtracting until I find the form that really speaks to me.
Well, nebula and things like that are just like masses of energy. And so, your work is very energetic. Like I said, it pops off the wall. It just feels like it's going to be leaping out into the room at us,
Yeah, and then if you think about it, I mean, it might be fun to take it into a light show or something more interesting like that. But I, as a sculptor, like to manipulate materials with my hands. That's where I get the most pleasure. And making sculpture is making an object. And so for me, I wanted to come up with a way of harnessing energy into a static object. And that's kind of my inspiration.
Yeah, well, it's working.
Thank you.
So do you own a telescope? Do you look at things that way, or do you just looking at NASA imagery?
I have in the past looked through a telescope. I don't have the telescope at the moment, but I also look at a lot of just Hubble Space Telescope images. Mm-hmm. I look at like topographical images of hurricanes floating over water.
Like the Weather Channel would show.
Yeah, like the Weather Channel, exactly. And they're kind of wild, the colors kind of mix up and you see this strange form floating over the water. And I mean, to me, it's like our graphic way of describing forces of nature when you see things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, I could turn that into a sculpture. And there's actually a piece in the show called Hurricane, which is, and it's even got little remnants of weather maps integrated into the fabrics.
Oh, does it? Oh, I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, cool. Look it closely to find it, but it's there.
And another thing that you do in some of the work is write on the fabric and also have collage elements. And so that brings an intricate aspect to the work that one can enjoy really close up, and then you'd see something different from further away.
Yeah, I like to integrate what's kind of running through my mind and life at the time that I make it. Not only are they inspired by, forces of nature like a flower or a nebula, but they're also inspired by what's ever running through my psyche and my, my heart at the time. And so a lot of times I will, put images or words or things that are running through my mind at the time that I make it.
Well, there's so many different ways that a creative can make a living, and you have mentioned some things. You're doing a number of commissions. So how are you coming up with the commissions? Are people just contacting you? Are you pitching to people, or how is that working?
Well, I mean, I have to say social media really plays a big role for me. I don't think I would be as far as I am without like Instagram and Facebook. But, the last year or so, I had gone through a major life change. I actually got divorced after a 25-year marriage, which is a tough change. And I started just really kind of rethinking how I look at life. And I started to believe in myself more and visualize what I want and just kind of surrender to the universe. Like, I know you're going to bring it to me. Thank you, surrender. Thank you, universe. And basically I got some commissions all over the country right now. I got one from California, one in South Carolina, one in Florida, and that's just hasn't happened in the past. It's been a real struggle at times. And part of the struggle has been that I was struggling psychologically, like not believing that I could be a full-time artist. And I think I just got to a point where it's like, this is what I really love and this is what I can do. And that made a huge difference. So things are just kind of appearing, which is
great.
pretty amazing.
So all these recent commissions have precipitated you leaving your teaching gig, I take it.
Yeah, because I taught for about 35 years and I actually was teaching at a private school here in Evanston, Illinois for about a year and a half during COVID, because I really did not enjoy teaching art online. Some people are so good at online but for me, the teaching experience is real hands-on and you want to see what's in front of you when the student creates something. So I taught at this private school because it was a one-on-one teaching experience, which was really fascinating. And then I just started getting these commissions. So I had to leave teaching so I could do the commissions. So that's kind of what happened. So that's where I'm at right now. Hope, knock wood, that it continues.
Yeah, well, I hope it sure does. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've done so many different things and it's exciting, I'm sure, to see you taking this turn and getting these new opportunities. That's really great for you.
Thank you.
Well, I think that this has been a really great interview, and I'm really glad that we could have this time together. And just encourage everybody to come see your exhibit at the Contemporary Art Center of Peoria through June 17th. And there's nothing like being in the room and experiencing it. We've posted a lot of photos online, but I encourage people to actually come here and check out Jill King's website at jillkingstudio.com and her Instagram account. They're all really great. Jill King, thank you so much for your time. And
William, thank you. You're really a beautiful curator and professional, and it's been a joy to work with you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.